agree with me. The holidays started way back a couple of months ago when you started seeing not only Halloween, but a few Christmas decorations come up. So let's kind of see what we can do to prepare ourselves now and moving forward. And again, this is being recorded. You can be able to access it on YouTube in a couple of days. So you can review and also share it with other caregivers and other friends that you know. It's a real pleasure for me to introduce my colleague and friend, Paula Hill. She is, she started our connection through her skill as a website manager. Her company is Hilltop Strategic Solutions. She has been doing Facebook website marketing for some years, starting in 2008 is when she started website design. She has a bachelor's degree in business administration, a lot of experience in marketing, and her path crossed with several of us within the aging services community because we need the benefit of a website designer. And I can tell you in the last few years, she has developed a passion, not only for older adults, but for caregiving. She is the guru behind the Family Caregivers Online website that we host that is provided through funding with those programs as well as this caregiver teleconnection. She is a lifetime volunteer. She's been very involved in the community. She recently, well, it's been a while now, I guess, but she has applied to become an long-term care ombudsman. Sometimes I have to wrap my tongue around that. And perhaps she can tell us a little bit about that when she joins us. She was a caregiver for her parents, so she has some personal experience, some professional experience, and I know that you'll benefit a great deal from what she has pulled together for us to share with her today. Paula, again, thank you for the time, and we look forward to what you have to say to us.
Well, thank you, Zanda. I sure do appreciate all that. And I'm so glad that I get a chance to do this presentation. I worked on it this weekend and I have a lot to share with you guys. So let's just dive right in. Um, Again, thank you all for coming. Zanda and I both understand that caregiving can be incredibly demanding, especially during the holiday season. It's this time of year when emotions are a little more likely to run high and expectations can be elevated. So I just want you to know you're not alone in this journey. Over the years, we've found by implementing a few practical tips and strategies, you can not only survive, but thrive during the holidays. So we'll talk about redefining traditions, balancing priorities, your caregiving responsibilities versus holiday responsibilities, communicating with family members, even the difficult family members. Not that any of you have any, but if you do, planning for the health and well-being of the person you're taking care of, and of course, managing the stress and all the time. So let's start with a little exercise. I want you guys to think about what you love about the holidays. And in particular, think about traditions that are important to you, things that you really want to maintain and try to do, through, even though you're very busy caregiving. So take a moment and think about the holiday traditions you love and make a note of them. And it could be simple things like faith traditions. Perhaps you love going to candlelight services or hearing Christmas songs sung by a choir. It could be special recipes you like to cook, baking cookies or decorating. It may be just the gift exchanging or meeting up with family that you don't get to see all the time. So take a moment to reflect on the traditions that are uniquely yours and most important to you. And once you've done that, I want you to kind of flip the switch and then think about what you don't like about the holiday. Most caregivers report that it's the increased stress, the added pressure of preparing for the holidays, family gatherings, maintaining a caregiving routine, all of this with all the holiday stuff on top of it, it can be very overwhelming. And it can be very disruptive to your routines. The holiday festivities can disrupt daily routines to the point it makes it difficult to manage medications, meal times, all the other things that you have to do, physical therapy and doctor's visits. And together, this can take an emotional toll. The emotional intensity of the holidays, it can be challenging for caregivers, especially if their loved one is experiencing loneliness, depression, or anxiety. Um, we also have to acknowledge physical exhaustion. The combination of caregiving plus all the holiday stuff, it can lead to extra physical exhaustion and burnout, which we all know as caregivers is, it's a big part of what we deal with. And then finally, financial strain. You're not only dealing with all the extra expenses of being a caregiver, doctor visit copays, medications, specialty equipment, all the different things you've got to pay for there, but also holiday expenses, gifts, travel, feeding extra people, maybe. It can all put a strain on your budget. So make a list, and it could be simple things. It could be things like putting up a tree. Maybe that's just not important to you, or for me, it was always putting the lights on the tree. I really related this picture of this guy covered up in the lights. I always felt like that, trying to pull out those lights and untangle them and get them on the tree. I was so glad when I was able to let that go. So it could be simple things like cooking or things like that you can let go of. And the reason why we want you to do that so that you can conserve your energy for the things that you have to do. And you know, by doing this, you're going to define what's important to you, what's not. You'll be able to answer this question: which traditions are important to you and your loved ones? So only do the manageable ones. Let go of what you can't do or don't have the bandwidth for this year. It's okay. This is a good time to pass on traditions to other family members. Personally, for many years, I had a really troubled relationship with Christmas and Thanksgiving. My father passed away Christmas Eve. And then a couple of years later, my mother became very ill with breast cancer. So I learned how to practice radical simplicity when it comes to the holidays. And one of the reasons I do this is because the holidays just became so stressful for me when my mother was dying of breast cancer. Before she got sick, we did it all. We decorated the house. We put up a giant tree. We had everyone come over for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We baked grandma's magic cookie bars, cooked the giant meals. And of course, we had to all let it go when she became ill. We just couldn't do it. And, since then, I just never went back. And now that I've simplified the holidays for myself, I enjoy them again. And as it turns out, everybody else was okay. I worried, that my other family members would be upset, if grandma's magic cookie bars didn't get baked, but they're okay. Trust me, your relatives are not going to die if you just put up a simple tabletop tree or if you serve store-bought cookies. Everybody will survive it, and so will you, and it'll be okay. And you can pass on that recipe to perhaps other people in your family that want to learn how to make grandma's magic cookie bars. So the next few slides are a little tough, but it's important that we look at these issues openly and honestly. You have to ask yourself, and this is a good time of year to do it, are you over caring? Do you really need to be doing everything yourself? I know when I was caregiving, it often felt easier just to do it myself. And by the time it took me to explain it to someone else, I could have had it done. But that leads to burnout. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. And it's important that we ask our loved ones or our care recipients, the people that we're taking care of, what can they still do for themselves? Of course, we want to empower them to remain as independent and self-sufficient as possible, but what any one person can do on any given day is going to change. Some days they may be stronger, some days they may be weaker, and same with us. Some days we may not have the energy that we have on every day. So while it's important to empower them to continue as long as they can with the what we call the daily activities of living, like dressing themselves, feeding themselves, eating those things. Um, we hope that they can continue to do that, but you also have to balance their need for movement with safety. Uh, I think it was last month, Santa, wasn't last month, the Falls Prevention Month. I mean, we talk a lot about falls on our
Yes.
website And it's just real important that as caregivers, we all know we keep an eye on our care recipients so they don't hurt themselves. So it's a balancing act. Caregiving is not easy. It's the hardest unpaid job we ever have, and everyone will have it at some point or else need it. So let's see, what else have I got? Oh, yes, this leads into asking family members for help. And it's okay to accept help. I want to tell you guys about my sister-in-law. She has 8 children, and they're all adults now, and they're all having, 2 to 8 children themselves. She has countless grandkids. And as you can imagine, the holidays at her house, it's just wild over there. And I asked her, how do you do it all? How do you take care of it? Oh, and she's also caregiving for her mother-in-law. And she said to me something really profound, and it's stuck with me. She said, I began asking for help when I realized that when I stop overperforming, others stop underperforming. And it's so true. I mean, people are happy to let you do it all if you're going to do it all. But once you stop overperforming, others hopefully will step up and stop underperforming. But to get them to do that, the tricky part is you have to communicate your needs. You have to be very, very clear about what kind of support you need. You can't assume that they know, especially if they live out of town or they're not nearby, they're not involved with caregiving. They simply don't know what all you're dealing with. So on our website, you'll find we have a lot of resources for listing out caregiver duties and listing out everything that you do. And if you go through the exercise of making a list of everything done, then you can really look at what can you let go of. People really want to help, but they like specific tasks. They like to be told, do X, Y, Z. For example, go grocery shopping or meal preparation or run errands. So if you can identify what other family members can do by listing everything you do, and that's hard part, take a realistic look at what you're willing to let go of. And you just have to acknowledge they may not do it as well as you or exactly like you prefer it. They may go grocery shopping and not buy the brand of eggs you like, but sometimes an egg is an egg and good enough is good enough, especially when you need help and when you need respite. And during the holidays, I know Zanda's dealing with this. She's got children with her, younger children and older children with her this week. What can the kids help with? The older children, of course, they can run errands. The middle-aged kids, they can help with housework. They need to be told that they can. And, even just staying with your loved one while you take a nap or while you run errands, that can be helpful. I loved Sister Joan Chisler's book, The Monastic Way. It says young people love old people to talk to them, not complain to them, not harp on them, just not correct them, just talk to them about, the real things about life. So if you're lucky enough to have children in your life, maybe you can put them to work a little bit, have them help you with some things, or if not, just spend some time with your loved one. But asking for help isn't always easy. Some people report they feel ashamed to ask for help. Well, there's no shame in asking for extra help, especially during the holidays. But if you are feeling shame, that's okay. Just say so. Be real about it. Let them know, how you're feeling. You're more likely to connect with someone that way. Now, some people have the misfortune of dealing with overbearing or interfering family members. The types. They swoop in once a year. They tell you everything you're doing wrong. They want you to do things their way. If you have family members that expect or demand too much, you just have to learn to set boundaries. You have every right to simply say no to any additional commitments they may want to put on you, or just say no to their expectations. You're the boss. You're in charge. You're the one in the trenches day by day. But the key is really to communicate openly and honestly. You got to live in your own truth, whether or not they hear it or can respond, at least you've tried. So talk to your family members about your caregiving responsibilities and the challenges that you're facing. It'll help them understand your situation and maybe they can offer help that way. And if they can't, remember, maybe they've just not yet had the experience of either being a caregiver or a care recipient. And if they haven't had that experience yet, they will someday. But it may be that today they're too young, or they just may not understand what you're dealing with. So, try talking, and hopefully they'll understand where you're coming from. Now, many people during the holidays like to travel. They like to go visit loved ones. And this is going to vary year by year, whether or not you're strong enough, whether or not your care recipient's strong enough. So before you commit to traveling, you need to have a heart-to-heart conversation and ask them, do they feel up to traveling? Are you going to be traveling by car, by plane? Are you going a long distance, or is it just across town? And, if it's just across town, also ask them, how long do they want to be away from home? It may be they're only comfortable for a few hours being away, especially as people get, if you have a care recipient who's, how do I say this, beginning to get dementia, leaving the home, these things can be a little more traumatic and stressful. So you want to do a little more planning. And of course, there's other complications if they don't live at home anymore. If they're living in assisted living, you need to coordinate with them. So there's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to traveling for the holidays, but it can also be very rewarding and important for other family members too. If you do travel, plan ahead. Really think about all the medical needs, medications. You take extra medications. If you're going to another city, find out where the hospitals are in advance. Local medical centers. Think about meal planning. When are you going to eat when you travel? Do the medications they take or you take require food? So try to plan ahead when it comes to all these. And if you're traveling during the colder months, dress in layers. If it's just a day trip, you might want to consider even packing a change of clothes. And think about where you're going. If you're visiting another family member's home, do they have kids, pets? Is this going to be challenging or disruptive for your loved one? What about music? Sometimes in dementia care, loud noises can be frightening and disturbing. Music can also be very pleasant. And you might just check, if you or your loved one need a place to rest, is there a place? And when you're visiting others, remember, again, you're the boss. So don't hesitate to ask these questions and make requests before you go visit them. Help set expectations of how things may be when you show up. I know a friend of mine a few years ago, she visited some family members at the holidays. Her husband was actually in uh, a dementia care unit at the time. So she went by herself, and the family members had a giant bull mastiff dog that jumped up to greet her, ended up smashing her into a like a kitchen cabinet area, and she broke her shoulder. So, people don't always realize the state that you're going to be showing up in. She just didn't have the strength to hold up that giant dog when it came and jumped on her. So check on these things before you come so that there won't be any surprises. Now, if you're going to someone's house and uh, food and meals are going to be involved, that's great. Just again, be mindful of your medications and if these medications have to be taken with food, because so you might need to have snacks available for your care recipient or something else to eat in case dinner isn't being served till 6 o'clock at night. If there's a big family table, allow time for your care recipient to get to the table before everyone else. You don't want them having to jostle for position with everyone else, especially if they're at risk for falls. And if at all possible, give your loved one a place of honor at the table. It'll mean a lot to everybody, and especially them. If you are visiting family, some of the things that you can do with family, you can encourage your family to sit and talk with the older relatives. Of course, think about board games or cards. It may be something as simple as watching favorite movies together, reading stories. And these family visits are a great time to start passing the torch on to the next generation. Maybe work with them to make those grandma's magic cookie bars. Now, often people ask, what are good gifts for older adults? And this is a great question. Gift cards to favorite restaurants are a good choice. Uh, Pictures, photo albums, frame photos, uh, stuff from Bath and Body Works like bath gels and body lotions and aftershave. Of course, specialty tea and coffee or foods. If they're diabetic, you want to be careful. You don't want to give them a box of candies if they're diabetic. But if it's within their dietary guidelines, that's great. Maybe a letter written by another family member. Clothing you'll know they wear. Calendars are a great choice. And how you find out what they like and what they wear is really through observation. Take some time to really observe, what do they like and don't like. What gifts have they received in the past but never used? You don't need to waste money on those. And really ask yourself, are you buying this because you like it or because you think they need it? They may not. So let's get on to the important stuff. Zanda and I talk a lot about self-care and respite on our website, familycaregiversonline.net. We write a lot about this. Prioritizing self-care is essential to caregivers. Taking regular breaks, incorporating relaxation techniques into your daily routine. It can really help reduce stress and improve your overall well-being. And then just taking care of yourself physically. This includes getting enough sleep, taking vitamins, drinking water, eating healthy food. It's so tempting to eat junk food and fattening food during the holidays. It just seems to be everywhere you go. There's cookies and cakes, but try to only eat when you're hungry. You don't have to eat to be polite. Try to only eat when you're hungry and stop eating when you've had enough. I know it's easier said than done, but one of the little tips I learned in my lifelong struggle with weight is when I'm eating, if I have a little burp, that's my body giving me a signal that I've had enough. I may still feel a little hungry, but if I just stop and wait a few minutes, that hunger I find is actually already satiated. It just hasn't gotten up to my brain yet. So a little burp, a little sigh. These are little signals your body gives you to tell you you've had enough. And of course, taking a walk, trying to do some stretches, all of these will help you with your stamina to get through the holidays. But it's important we set realistic expectations. Expectations for yourself and others to help manage the stress. Avoid overcommitting. Just focus on what's truly important, taking care of your loved one and yourself. And above all, let go of perfectionism. You don't have to do it all. Another thing that we encourage caregivers to do, and we have a list of many, many, many support groups on our website, is to seek support. Getting support from others is incredibly beneficial. Joining an online support group or an in-person support group, they may have them, in your local area agency on aging, or perhaps your local faith center or senior centers may have a support group. Just having other people to talk to, friends, family, other caregivers that you can seek counseling from. It provides a lot of emotional support, and you'll pick up a lot of practical advice. So if you don't have an in-person support group near you, check out our website. We've got a whole page listing lots of them. And then the last thing Zanda and I often encourage people to do is to practice mindfulness. So mindful techniques like meditation and deep breathing, they can help you stay calm and focused, even in stressful situations. Even when you have new dogs running around, kids running around, everybody asking you questions. One of the quickest and easiest ways to do this is to practice deep breathing. There's a technique called the 4-7-8 breathing technique. And it's real simple. You just close your lips, inhale through your nose for a count of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. And then exhale through your mouth slowly and deeply for a count of 8. And that's one cycle. And you can do this, you can go to the restroom and do this. You can go out to your car and do this, the backyard. Try to get alone, take some deep breaths. It'll help bring the tension and the stress way down. And you'll feel a bit rejuvenated after you've done this. It really does work, and it's free and easy. Next, I want to share with you 6 general tips for lowering holiday stress. And this comes from another one of my clients. She's a marriage and family therapist who talks a lot about the toll holidays can take on marriages. And with children and all your different responsibilities, she advises us to build in some cushion. In other words, don't schedule 3 different visits on Christmas Day or even Christmas week for that matter. It's just really stressful trying to get everywhere on time, packed up, medications packed up, everything you need. And when you do go out, expect delays. Give yourself permission to underschedule this year. You don't have to go to everything you're invited to. Next, don't overspend on gifts. Don't spend so much on Christmas that you'll regret it in January, because that's just going to bring more stress into your life. So plan to underspend. People will understand if they don't get a gift card from you, or money from you, or an incredible gift. You got a lot on your plate right now, and a lot of extra expenses too as a caregiver. So all this is easy to talk about. What's hard is lowering your expectations. Don't try to achieve that vision that you have of the perfect holiday, or maybe the perfect holiday that you and your family were able to pull off 20 years ago. Get comfortable with less than perfect. Make friends with it. You're probably not going to get rid of or change that dream of a perfect holiday in your mind, but don't let it run your life, and don't let it ruin your holidays. Everything will be okay, even if you radically simplify everything. Next, practice going slowly. Practice not hurrying, which I wish I could do during this talk, because I feel like I'm talking really fast. So I will practice going slowly, but especially practice it during the holiday, because we're more likely to have accidents, to trip and fall ourselves and to injure ourselves trying to run around and get everything done. So slow down, practice going slowly, and consider creating a mantra for yourself, a quick sentence that you can say to yourself when things start to fall apart or you're tempted to be stressed out. And it could be something as simple like, there's no such thing as perfect, or it is what it is, or it's only a problem if I say it's a problem. And next, she advises practice gratitude. Practicing gratitude by focusing on the positive aspects of the holiday season, and it'll help you shift your perspective and foster a sense of peace and commitment. I think earlier I mentioned my father passed away on Christmas Eve, and for the first few years after that, that was all I thought about at Christmas. And of course it was miserable. But as I got older and lived with it a bit longer, I forced myself, but now I think about the fun times that we had at Christmas, the fun times going to East Texas to spend Christmas week with his parents. So think about the things that really bring you joy now and have brought you joy in the past by practicing gratitude. Now, on this next slide, this comes from one of my favorite people on the planet. These are tips from a professional therapist, our very own Zanda Hilger. I'm not sure if you know this, but Zanda is a family therapist who has worked with many, many, many caregivers over the years. And these are 4 tips that she has written about extensively on our website. Let it go. Let go of what you cannot control and take initiative to influence what you can. And this takes us back to our exercise from earlier in the presentation. Make a list of those holiday traditions that are important to you, list the ones that aren't, and let go of the ones that aren't. Reminisce. I was just talking about this the previous slide. Reminisce, remember the good times, and above all, tell people you love them. This is a great time of year to tell people that you love them. And if perhaps you don't see eye to eye with certain family members, try to reframe it. Reframing is maybe looking at trying to see a situation from a different perspective. There's a celebrity coach I like to follow online. Her name is Mel Robbins, and she has this great mantra called "Let them be." You know, you can't control what your family members say. You can't control what they think. You can't control what they do. So just let them be. Don't try to control them. Just, you can't stop them. Just let them be. And that is such a stress reliever. You know, it's like, it's radical acceptance is what it is. So try to reframe it, try to see things from their perspective. If you don't see it eye to eye, just let it be. And then the last one, don't worry, be happy. Remind yourself. Oh, I love this, Zanda. Remind yourself about the high cost of worry and the low return. You know, most of the things we worry about just don't come true. And we've all experienced that throughout life. So it just does not pay to worry. It doesn't help a thing. Let it go. Start over at tip one and let it go. Now that I've drug you through all this, I want to leave you with a new thought. Let's see here. Here we go. Keep your sense of humor. This is something that we all have to work at. But maintaining a sense of humor can help lighten the mood. It'll help lighten your mood. It'll help reduce stress. It'll help you foster resilience during the challenging times like the holidays. So I've got a few jokes for you. This first one is for dog lovers. I love this little guy. It says, I haven't been naughty this year, but I'm about to be. And then the next one is, what, you bad dog? The snowman dog left some ice cubes for his owner on the carpet. He's a very, very bad dog. And now if you're a cat lover, I love this. This is the last thing a Christmas ornament sees before it dies. And then this one, the fat cat. What did you get for Christmas? Well, I got fat. Now, Zanda, can you still hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Alaska.
Alaska what?
Alaska
Alaska
who?
who?
I'll ask you again. What do you want for the holidays? What's important to you this holiday season? What are you going to do this season, and what are you going to let go of? And I hope you get to see a cute little baby this holiday. I always hope I get to see
Happy baby.
So that's the last of my jokes, and that's the last of my presentation. We like to open this up for questions. But before we get into that, I want to share with you just a little more about our website, familycaregiversonline.net. We have a ton. We have over 15 years of caregiver content on there. This program that I just shared with you today, it's just one module. It's just one education module. We have many of them on there. Everything is free. We're publicly funded through our area agencies on aging. We put all of this information out there for free for caregivers. We have an events calendar that has events like this one, free webinars. If you're in the North Central Texas area, we also list some events that happen locally, especially in the DFW Metroplex. Please check it out. Check out our website. You can sign up for our bi-monthly newsletter where we list all of these events and we send you short relevant tips and tricks and blog posts for you to help you through your journey as a caregiver. And if you are a professional caregiver and on this call, feel free to use this program. We'll post this on our website. It'll also be on YouTube. I'm happy to share this presentation with anybody who wants it, especially if you use it in an educational program supporting family members who are caring for elders. So that brings us, is it about 12:40? So we've got some time for Q&A. Does that sound good to you, Zanda?
Yes, and Paula, a couple of things as you were talking.
Okay.
So much practical information. I think you will agree. So many topics, but I've posted, if you want to repeat this, if they can't hear us, I did post the website link.
Okay,
I
good.
posted just a reminder, mindfulness starts with deep breathing and staying in the moment. And then two questions for our listeners. What have you changed in your holiday experience that help you manage it better? That
Mm.
perhaps you can answer that in the chat. And or what ideas do any of you need from any of us to help you manage the coming few weeks better?
Dan, would you like me to close my screen now or keep it up?
You can go ahead, and I think you can keep it up. That way, if anybody wants to
Okay.
copy down that website or any of that. But as Paula said, you are welcome to use all of it. And by the way, the Alaska joke, I noticed in our registrations today, someone has joined us from Alaska. We have
Oh,
people from probably more than a dozen states all over the US, but I think they are probably the farthest west.
oh, how exciting.
And
Mm.
another comment while we're waiting for people to type in maybe what's worked for them in the past or what they could need help with. This particular presentation started years and years ago, the first time I wrote one, and it was really she says she's in Fairbanks. Um, this presentation was written on the shoulders of many, many caregivers as they struggled or what they learned, and probably hundreds of years of caregiving experience.
Mhm.
So this presentation that then Paula has taken, enhanced it even more, is good, solid, practical tips in a lot of different areas that hopefully there's something, and I'd be kind of curious about this. I'm going to type it into the chat. What one thing are you walking away from or that you're taking from this presentation? I'm going to write that right now. What one
You
thing
know,
have you learned or been reminded of?
and then I just wanted to add one more thing in. Anybody
Uh-huh.
who's listening, you have our permission, you have Xanda's permission and my permission to just say no. You're the boss.
Absolutely.
You don't have to take on any extra responsibilities. You're already doing a lot, much more than most people realize. Most people just, unless you've lived it, you just don't know
Mm.
how challenging caregiving is emotionally, physically, the whole gambit.
So if you are struggling with a comment to make or a question to ask, what one thing have you kind of gotten from this? Okay, we now have Carla says pass tradition on to others and lower or change expectations.
Absolutely. So important.
And Tia had mentioned writing a letter beforehand to all the family members to help them understand the changes in your loved one and what is the daily routine so you can plan around your loved one's routine. What an excellent comment. Those of you that may not have heard of this before, there's something called the Caring Bridge. It's all one word, the Caring
Mm.
Bridge. It is a free, nonprofit, basically bulletin board that started out for family members caring for someone in a hospital. And I have been using it a lot over the last year, and it's a way to post so that everyone in your group knows what's going on, maybe perhaps with your loved one. Again, the caring bridge, all one word, caring bridge. And it's just a wonderful way to track. And the way I have used it also is because there were dates in it. It was one way that I could reconstruct what all had gone on during the year that I might need in terms of medical history or whatever. So whatever works for you is great. But as a caregiver, very often, especially this time of the year, having to make one more phone call or answer one more text or whatever, especially about your loved one going into the holidays, you might consider that or a group text or a group email for your own family members as a way to help keep people involved and up to date about what's going on. Take a lot of stress off you.
Without having to tell the same story over and over and over.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's see what else may have
And it's
over.
private. It's much more private rather than
Absolutely.
something like Facebook or
Mm-hmm.
regular social media. This is completely, the only people that will be in this Caring Bridge with you are the people that you invite. And it's free.
Minerva has said, our wonderful teleconnection admin in San Antonio, giving up the options of having so many sides for lunch and dinner. Absolutely. May I tell a quick anecdote if
Yes.
everybody can hear me? This was years ago. I was doing a program in Dallas for caregivers, and it was a support group, and I was doing a series. And one of the people there was so concerned about the holidays because she had always done everything for her family. They always hosted all the holidays, but her husband had developed Alzheimer's disease, and she just didn't know how she was going to manage it all. And so the group stepped in and recommended to her that she reach out to her adult children and say, I need help this year. We want to host it. I think she wanted to do like the main course, the meat, but she asked for just some help, even if it was sides. She could not wait in January to tell us what happened. She sent an email to all of her adult children. They not only stepped in to do a side or anything else, they got together. Now, this I know isn't almost unbelievable, but they all got together, came over, cleaned the house. They talked among themselves who was going to do what. They just kind of coordinate things differently. And she said at the dinner table, what was said by first one of her adult children, and then they started echoing it, is it was without a doubt the best holiday that they had had in years because they felt that they had done something to help their parents.
Oh, wow.
Now, would that always work for you? I don't know. But you know what? It's worth it.
Worth a
It's
try.
worth it to just try something different. And as Paula said earlier, sooner or later, most people are in this position of being a caregiver. I think it was Betty Ford that said when she was opening the
Oh,
Betty
it's
Ford Center.
Rosalind Carter.
Huh?
Wasn't it Rosalind Carter?
Yeah, Rosalind Carter. Thank you for that correction. Yes, Rosalind Carter said there's only four kinds of people in the world: people who have been a caregiver, people who are a caregiver, people who will be a caregiver, or people who will be cared for. And that is something that is true. It's universal.
Yeah.
Rosalind Carter.
Hmm. Yes, she did a lot of work for caregivers. There's a Rosalind
Mm-hmm.
Carter Institute for
Mm-hmm.
caregivers. She did a lot.
Carla has said, often people want to help, they just don't know how. So you have to ask for what you need. Brilliant, exactly.
Mhm.
Jill says, have a B plan just in case things don't go as planned or hoped for. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I want to pull up on our website
Mm-hmm.
some of the resources we have for caregivers in regards to making a list of what they need. Let me see.
We really encourage you to make use of this website. It is just rich with resources, education programs, frequently asked questions, hundreds of blogs and articles, even a list of reading.
Right, right. Where is my checklist and templates? Here we go.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Oh, our latest one, falls log. We've been working a lot about falls.
Mhm.
Medication log templates. Of course, those are very popular. Sharing caregiving responsibilities. This is a great worksheet. Um, you can download it. Let's see if I've got a picture of it. Let me just download it real quick.
Mhm. And while you're pulling that up, the fall log, my
Mm-hmm.
husband has been falling a lot this year, and I realized I looked online and nowhere did I find an effective log to write things down when it happened, what were the circumstances. So a lot of what you'll find on our website has been written by somebody else, but much of it has also been written by those of us that are actually caregivers.
Yeah, Xander wrote that. She's like, I can't find it online. Let's make one. So we made one and put it up.
Look
But
at that. Isn't that awesome?
we have a lot. This is from the National Institute on Aging. We take a lot of care to put quality stuff up too. But there's
And one thing we also want to, and Paula may have mentioned this, but there is nothing on our website. We don't take advertisements. We don't promote any particular service. What we have are materials and information that we have as often as possible we can get from the Public Health Department or Department of Veteran Affairs. Look at that daily activity log. We
yeah.
try to dig down and find good, solid, useful information.
And we try to put these up. It's not only PDFs, but also Word documents, so you can modify them to fit
Right,
your needs.
right. And as Paula brought it up, they're worksheets. We have a whole section of how to.
Yeah.
There's the two types that you can either the PDF or the Word.
Well, and look, Xander, we started this site in 2013. Then started, so we have all of this years of content. So anyway, take a look.
There were
Check out.
some comments in the chat.
Oh, good.
And the calendar also, we use the National Calendar for the Alzheimer's Association because so many of those are virtual.
And a lot of WellMed presentations because we love WellMed.
Okay, Tia
Which is
said
your
it's
host.
not the end.
WellMed Foundation, it hosts the teleconnection.
I think Minerva says we have some comments in there.
Oh, okay. Let me go look. Okay. Let me back up here. All right, we talked about that. Tia says, and Tia's had a lot to contribute today, it's not the end of the world if you have to order the meal from the grocery store, Crackle Barrel, or another favorite place. Absolutely. Gay says, I work for the Alzheimer's Resource of Alaska as a dementia education specialist. I'll be doing a webinar on the holidays and travel this coming weekend. I've done it several times before. Thank you for some ideas for how I can make some changes to freshen it up, as well as reminders of what is important. Love the reminder to simplify, let go, ask for help, and the tips of things to think about. The point when I stop overperforming, others will step up. Reminder of the serenity prayer. And we would say back to you, if you want to share, Gay, if you want to share some of the resources you use or what you share when you do your program, we would really appreciate that. We learn from each other. Let's see, Minerva, I think we've covered those. Let me look to see if we've got anything. Gay says she'll be looking at the website, like the idea of you're sharing the forms, that other worksheets. Okay.
And Phyllis, I love how Phyllis says, just stop doing so much, allow someone else to help.
Exactly. Because, as long as you do, there's no reason for anybody else to do it. And I'm going to ask the question again, what one takeaway do you have from today that maybe can be a good review for all of us? One takeaway that really stuck with you. I hear somebody, Paula has written, you are not alone. Absolutely. Well, hopefully the information that we've shared with you, Angelique says a lot of helpful information, ask for help. Hopefully you have a chance to review either through looking at the presentation again. Gay, thank you, you're going to be in touch. And then you will be receiving the PDF of the slides that Paula used today. Barbara says, what also is important is updating relatives about what to expect, especially true with if you're caring for someone with dementia, because very often, well, with any chronic disease, but with dementia, sometimes families don't realize the changes that have occurred since they last talked to them or saw them.
Mhm.
Well, it's our hope and our wish that you have gotten a lot of good information. You'll think about some of this. You'll maybe plan differently for this year. Paula, wonderful job. Thank you for all that you put into this. A lot of heart and soul goes into the work that we all do. Take care of yourself. Paula, anything you want to close with?
I just want to express my gratitude to all the caregivers on this call today. You're doing incredible work.
Mhm.
Acknowledge that.
The last thing we ask of you is there is a very brief session survey. It's very easy to fill out. It provides us some really good information to WellMed as well as to us. So if you would take the time to just rate that as very satisfied, satisfied, neutral, dissatisfied, or very dissatisfied, it would be very helpful information for us to have. And a few yes or no questions. Again, thank you. Take care of yourselves, and you will be hearing from us about coming sessions. We'll be talking about in the next few months, we'll be talking about grief, depression, some of the very real emotions that caregivers deal with, especially this time of the year. Bye, everyone. Thank you again.
Bye. Thank you.